Good morning, beautiful family. Dave here. We're going to be talking about this coronavirus thing that's going on around the world at this current period in time. And your comments are going to be more than welcome. Debate is always good in any healthy group of people that live in a country. For me, I'm not sure of what's going on with this coronavirus situation, whether it was made in a laboratory in Wuhan, China. But what I really want to talk about is the hysteria of what's happening around the world at the moment. And good morning, Tracy Pearson. How are you, sweetheart? Very nice to see you. I've been banned from Facebook for a month, so I figured that I'd come onto YouTube and try and build my YouTube platform slightly, because I kind of never really hit it off on YouTube. But then again, change is as good as the rest, right? Change is as good as the rest. Good morning, Tracy. I will be sharing this to Facebook a little bit later. It's a bit cold and rainy outside, so that's why I thought I'd pop in and catch up with you guys. We see Westminster Bridge last night. Lots and lots of people with police, with all their flashing lights going, all stood side by side, all clapping for the NHS. And I do love the National Health Service. I really, really, really do. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. But I'm someone that thinks that when we question what goes on, shall I share it? Yes, please, Tracy. That would be really, really kind of you. And I want to try and just bring some stuff to you that maybe you're not seeing all the time. And when we channel ourselves into mainstream media, the BBC, Channel 4, etc., 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 we're just getting an official narrative. And I want to talk to you guys as well about a guy, a very high, who was a very high judge, Lord Sumption. We're going to talk about him in a little while. Lord Sumption has turned around and said, this isn't right. The lockdown is unlawful. It is absolutely unlawful. This is from The Guardian. Let's see what The Guardian have to say about Lord Sumption. No, I don't want that. I don't want that. I just want to read. Right, just go away. Go away. Save and close cancel. So, Lord Sumption. Now, this gentleman was... Hello, Patsy. Nice to see you, darling. How are you? Lord Sumption, a former Supreme Court Justice. This guy's no fool. Has heavily criticised Derbyshire police for stopping people exercising in the Peak District. Now, what happened in the Peak District? We had the local constabulary. They placed dye in a very beautiful kind of lake lagoon kind of thing to stop people wanting to visit this particular place. And what they've done is they've used drones. Can you believe that we're living in George Orwell's 1984? We are absolutely living in INSOC, which, if you want to know what INSOC means, maybe go and do a little bit of research yourself. But we're living in some really funny times right now. So this judge, former court's justice, has turned around and said, the police stopping people exercising the Peak District, saying that such behaviour risks plunging people into a police state. He says Lord Sumption warned that police had no legal power to enforce ministers' wishes. How true is that? And that the public should not be resigning their liberty to overzealous citizens in uniform. This is a high court justice. This isn't look, we're all just men and women, right? We know that. But this guy has been in the system for a long time, Lord Sumption, and he's saying that we should not be resigning our liberty to overzealous citizens in uniform. I see yesterday in a park in London, I'm not too sure which one it was, two female officers of the Metropolitan Police hustle this woman out with her arm ripped up round her back with her dog. And this woman is saying, I have done nothing wrong. She's minding her own business, walking through the park with her dog, and she's saying, I have done nothing wrong. And they march her off to this vehicle, and this journalist goes with his camera and starts recording them and saying, well, hang on a minute, what goes on here? And they said, if you don't go away, we're going to arrest you and fine you. So we're in this time period where apparently everyone's on lockdown in their homes, on house arrest. That's how I see it. That's my humble opinion, and I'm entitled to my humble opinion. And we're going to cover that with testimonies from nurses and people that work in funeral directors. I am connected with many thousands of people around the world and in this country, okay? Because over the last 10 years, I've made it my business to talk to people and to find out the truth, and at times do some diggings in all walks of the system, from bailiff issues to flame, until she holds over a piece of paper and this thing goes up in flames. Hand sanitizers are highly flammable, people. We're just about to come into a time period of barbecuing and all sorts. So just be mindful that if you do put hand sanitizers on your hands, it is flammable for a little while until it probably evaporates. And the other question is, you've got to ask that you're putting these hand sanitizers on your hands, and that alcohol is then leaching through your skin and getting into your body, right? Because you know that the skin is an epidermis, and it goes both ways. So I've had nurses call me from various outlets saying, look, you know, we're on garden leave, we're not busy. Our hospitals are pretty much empty. I've got neighbours saying that they've been to local hospitals for x-rays on hip replacements that they've had done privately, and that they just breezed it through. So the problem for me is I'm someone that always questions stuff, and I think it's healthy when we can get real information out there so people can discern for themselves, so they can understand for themselves. Patsy in the chat room says, I've been livid. It's just wrong. It is absolutely just wrong. So these nurses are saying, look, you know, we're not busy. I'm not suggesting that people aren't dying. People die every day, people die every day. But the danger is that a lot of the natural deaths that are happening from cancers, etc., are not going down and being put on the death certificate as that they're dying of what they actually died from. They're being labelled as tested positive for COVID-19, and hence why these numbers are rising. Because friends of mine in funeral directors, this is not just from one, I've had quite a few people that work within the funeral industry. To me, it's a bit of a dead-end job, but they've said, look, every body that's coming into us right now is double bagged. And this is hard to listen to. Look, peeps, I really don't enjoy doing this, but I think that if we expose ourselves just to the mainstream narrative and we run with that and we don't question, I think we're in perilous times. We want the God's honest truth. And I get my truth from people that work in industries that have first-hand knowledge. And my friend's saying they're coming in double bags with tested positive for COVID-19 on it, and they're going straight to incinerators. There is no checking the body. It's an outrage, and I think that as independent journalists as we are, in as much as we just trying to ring some alarm bells. Thanks for tuning in. We've got Patsy Ballantyne in. Thanks, Patsy. Thanks for sharing. I really appreciate that. Tracy Pearson, hello, sweetheart. Nice to see you. My sister worked for a doctor's surgery and confirmed that. Right. So we now have a situation where the doctor's surgeries, the doctors are pretty much putting down everybody that's passing away, sadly, and death is a sad occurrence. It truthfully is. But they're putting it down as a tested positive for COVID-19. And hence where you're getting the mainstream media up the ante and saying that we've had 10,000 deaths of COVID-19. It's not the case. it is not the case. There is something going on. And I think it's quite sinister, and I think it's quite dangerous. If you have life insurance policies, people, I would be very mindful of that at the moment. And I would be questioning that you have that, because they won't pay out. On a COVID-19 and epidemics and pandemics, insurance is null and void, just to make you aware, so that you can share this information with your friends and your families, that all mostly insurance policies are null and void. They're just null and void. They will not pay out on someone dying. It's so sad. Let me just see if I can drop this thing out of the way. I can't. What are you playing at? So Tracy, we've got Tracy Pearson in the room. I can't read the comments unless they scroll up. Tracy saying you're buffering. I buffer all the time, Trace. I really do. There's just so much going on. We've had President Donald Trump. Now, I, as an individual, and my rights of freedom and liberty, I absolutely think that Donald Trump is amazing. I really do. For this simple fact, Donald Trump doesn't tolerate no nonsense, and Donald Trump tells it how it is. Donald Trump doesn't get wrapped up in political correctness, which has made the world go a bit crazy. In the last few years, America has with its agenda, and it's been a raising history. It's been pulling down all of its statues of generals, etc., that worked in the Civil War, not worked, but operated during the Civil War, and the Confederates, and that they've been ripping down all their statues. Well, the reason that they've been ripping them down is because people have been so offended. Okay, you would only rip something down if it is offensive, and people of a group of people find it offensive. Now, the problem for me is, being offended is one thing, but to wiping out history of humanity is a sacrilege, and it's a rocky road. It really is. So President Trump is calling out the media for what they are, and he's bang on the money, and they really have problems in dealing with what President Trump has to say. Bill Gates in America, as you know, has been for the last quite a few years, bearing in mind Bill Gates was banned and never allowed to return to India, or what was the other country? Africa, because he killed so many people with his polio vaccines. Bill Gates has been absolutely ripped to pieces in America. His website, they've had to pull it because people now see what Bill Gates is up to. And Bill Gates and his foundation have been calling for mandatory vaccinations. Now, ladies and jelly spoons at home, I don't know how you yourself feel about mandatory vaccinations, and that is you having to take something that you don't consent to. You don't consent to it. Patsy says, shared that woman and her dog with the bully boys. Dave, yeah, it was sick. It was absolutely sick that this woman, and as she's being frog marched out of the main gates by the two lady officers, she has her arm put up her back, and she's got a dog in the other lead, and in her other hand on a lead, and she's saying, but I've done nothing wrong. And she had done nothing wrong. And the journalist that started to film the incident, this PC Brown, come up to him, and the police look more like German stormtroopers every day. And I mean that and it hurts me to talk this way. It really, really does. And the copper says, go home, you're killing people. I didn't see no guns and bullets. So this little virus, this little bug thing, which has got everyone on house arrest and mass hysteria. My friend's mother yesterday I grew up in Southeast London, people. That's why I'm a no-nonsense kind of individual, a bit like Ron Seal. I do exactly what it says on the tin. I'm not afraid of exercising my voice. I grew up in that area, and it was a hard knock life back when I was a young man. And you have to have your wits about you. You really did. It was an area where you had to have your wits about you. Well, my friend's mother, she ended up in the Maudsley Hospital quite a few years ago and had to have some brain surgery because she had some issues. And she was never expected to live very long, but she had children. She's still alive. She's still a very determined individual. She must weigh about 5 stone dripping wet. There's nothing of her. She has a walking stick. Well, her daughter took her shopping yesterday. And while she sat in the car with her children, her mum was walking around Tesco's in Peckham, and I want people to shame these people. I really do. And she fell over in the store, and she falls over all the time. This is not a rare thing for this lady to do. She falls over. She just falls over. It's her balance, it's the issues, but she's an amazing woman. She really is. And nobody helped her. Not one soul come and offered a hand, a lift. Can I help you? Would you like me to help you up? Nobody. Everybody just walked past her and looked at her. Well, my friend used to work in this store, and after a period of 10 minutes, she's thinking, Mum's a little wild. She's only gone in for a basket of stuff or a trolley of stuff. What's going on? She went in there, to the outrage that she found that her mother had fallen over and no one helped her. And she started going a little bit mental. What's going on? Why is this happening? Well, they said the government have told us not to touch anybody or get near anybody. And she said, look, with the greatest respect, did government teach you morals? Did government teach you what is right? Or does that feel from the heart? She's absolutely beside herself, people, that her mum had to go through that nobody offered her a hand up. Now, when I was a child growing up in that area, everyone would have offered you a hand up. If you fell over, people would have gone, you all right? Let me give you a hand up. But nobody helped her. And that's the hysteria, and that is the fear that has been placed on this country with this unknown virus. And there are a lot of people out there saying that this is due to 5G. 5G vibrates the blood. 5G is a microwave technology, and it is. That is an undisputable fact. And to go and stand under a 5G tower is basically, you might as well go and stand inside your microwave. But we have good news, people. We have good news. We're in very, very exciting times for this reason. This last week, we've seen an acceleration in consciousness and awareness, and it's beautiful because people, all they need to change their life is information and data. That is all they need. There's been a fantastic documentary on YouTube called Out of the Shadows. It has had over 12 million views. That is phenomenal. And may I suggest, if you've got the time, because you're all on lockdown anyway, go and watch Out of the Shadows. It's amazing. Go and check out my brother's channel also as well, Graham Moore, Daddy Dragon, gets masses and masses of views on YouTube. He got banned from Facebook a couple of years ago. Best thing that ever happened to him. And he's now built up a big YouTube platform where he gets sometimes over 1,000 people viewing him, which is amazing. And that is all that we want, is information and data to get out to the masses so they can get informed and get down with their knowledge. So Out of the Shadows, a brilliant, brilliant documentary. We've seen David Icke do an interview last week with London Real, and that got pulled. That was taken down on all platforms. On Twitter, it was put up on Twitter, Vimeo, it was pulled. They're trying their hardest. And it was the best work that David Icke has ever done. Is David Icke a gatekeeper? I don't know. Who cares? I'm interested in everybody at home and around the world becoming into information and data. And I don't care how it is served up, who's serving it up. As long as people are getting empowered, that's just right for me. Now, the tip of the iceberg, the most beautiful thing that's happened is that President Trump is going after the deep state cabal like you've got no tomorrow. And in one foul swoop, he has just stripped the World Health Authority, which is a sideline for Bill Gates and his cronies. He has just pulled funding to the World Health Authority because these so-called experts with all their so-called miracle vaccines are pretty much killing many, many, many souls on this planet. And President Trump has now said no more funding for the World Health Authority. I can imagine Britain will be next in following with their discommunication of the World Health Authority, and God bless the UK and England if they do decide to do that. So we're seeing the deep state cabal really running for cover now. The whole world, David Icke's video, unbelievable precedents in views. I mean, people have just gone mad for the David Icke interview. It's been amazing to see that happen out of the shadows. What a fantastic documentary. And I've got a friend of mine, her partner was an ex-banker in London, made an absolute fortune and completely has no idea of the things that we talk about. And he watched it and he went, wow. He actually went, wow, that was pretty amazing. So we are in a real good area right now. We're in some times where there's some really good things happening. For me, this coronavirus itself, I do question, and I think we should all be questioning the official narrative. We have key workers. We have this word now in this country called key workers, which are people that work in the system, that work in industry, that seem to have this dispensation of being able to just go out and carry on as normal. We have police constables standing side by side with NHS workers, all clapping, which is fine. If that's what they want to do, that is their free will choice. But where is the 2 meters distancing? Where is the 2 meter radius? Are these people exempt? Do the uniforms that they wear and the corporations that they represent, are they immune from this virus? Whilst everybody else is in lockdown. Now, lockdown for me is a bit of a nonsense because I'm not prepared to be locked down. I really am not prepared to be locked down, people, because that is house arrest. Now, I'm pretty sure, before I wrap up this video, this is my first one on YouTube for a long time, and I want to thank every single one of you for tuning in today. I really, really do. That have, in the past, when we look to the Spanish flu, the plagues, all these other natural disasters and pandemics and epidemics that I've had in the past, have we shut down? No, we haven't. Firstly, our ancestors were quite tough. They knew that people were dying. Yes, they got on with stuff. They threw out their dead. They buried their dead. They mourned for the dead. But life must go on, people. The economies, tough times back then, never collapsed. Why would you crash an economy and a country and people's ability to put food on the table and lock them in their own homes and fine them if they come out? Have councils now said nobody has to pay council tax? Where are people getting their slave tokens from now? They can't go to work. They can't do this. It's going to run out at some point. Are we going back to a Dickensian dark age? Who knows? I don't know. For me, this is sinister. There is something very, very, very sinister at play. And I just encourage you and ask you to disseminate the information that you're getting from mainstream media. Make up your own minds. Get into groups locally that live near you and find out, are your neighbours dying? Who's got this issue? Now, a friend of mine that's in the family is working in King's College Hospital right now, and there is something going on. There are people in there with metallic tastes in their mouth. Well, we've got metallic filings being sprayed by the shed load in the skies every day. We've had people with videos, amateur videos, of getting credit cards or whatever cards they've got, scraping them up their windscreen and then getting a magnet when they've chased up the line. And this stuff is all sticking to the magnet. When you combine their magnetic filings, which are tiny, they're nanoparticles, nanoparticulates. When you combine that with microwave technology that's in 5G cell towers, and if you put together the areas of people that are suffering with this coronavirus thing, are they in areas with 5G technology? Very probably. They've done this in Wuhan in China. They've seen the massive areas where people have been having issues, and the 5G is there. It releases the exosomes from your blood cells because your blood cells don't quite know what's going on. This is an oxygen thing. This is a depletion of oxygen, and that people can't get enough oxygen through their lungs. This is mainly people that have underlying health conditions in the first place, people on the larger side of life, people that smoke a lot, people with COPD, people with respiratory issues are very much susceptible to whatever this is that's rolling out. Whatever it is that this coronavirus actually is, those are the symptoms of metallic taste in the mouth, which sprays with the bariums and aluminiums and sulfates that they're putting into the atmosphere, biochemistry, bioweapons. There are 5G towers being set alight around the country and around the world, and especially through the European hemisphere. Italy are burning their 5G cell towers down. I don't condone violence or destruction. However, if humanity is under the cosh and people are dropping like wildfire, then humanity will always tend to seem to bring people out that will do the right thing by humanity. We've had birds just dropping from the sky dead, bees dropping dead, animals in 5G areas, they're being found dead on the road. What is going on, people? Will the official mainstream narrative ever discuss any of this? Not a chance. Not a chance, people. So it's my first video for a long time. We're just coming up to 30 minutes. I thought I'd do a 30-minute one today. I am going to be sharing this on Facebook. If you like, please subscribe, please share, please press the bell button so that you get notifications of when we do go live. And I'm going to try my hardest to build up this YouTube platform to get awareness out there and to get people into an understanding of, look, things might not just be how the mainstream media are portraying it to be. God bless you all. May you stay safe. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I love every single one of you. You take care. If this thing will stop. Why is it not stopping?